Watching News at Prime, let's get into this discussion now. Russian authorities are allegedly on a mission to recruit foreigners to join their armed forces as the war with Ukraine continues. 5 suspects have appeared in court in South Africa for allegedly recruiting vulnerable people. In Zimbabwe, a narrative is apparently spreading in WhatsApp groups telling the youth that going to fight for Russia will earn them instant citizenship and large sums of money. Let's speak now to Zimbabwean journalist Zenzele Ndebele, who is a director at the news organization called Sight. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Let's start with whether any people from Zimbabwe have actually gone to Russia, or is this still at recruitment phase?
Well, I can confirm that there are a number of Zimbabweans who have gone to Russia. We don't know the number, but definitely there are. I have spoken to some family members who have confirmed that their families or their family members have gone to Russia, and it's a trend that is growing because people are promised all sorts of, incentives that include, like you indicated, citizenship and huge sums of money, 18,000 upon signing contract, or 2,000 euros a month.
And talk to us about who these campaigns are targeting primarily. At least my understanding is that it's targeted at young people. What is the framing that is being used here, and who's behind it?
Well, it's very difficult to know who is behind it because what happens is that messages are sent on Telegram as well as on WhatsApp. There are videos of Zimbabweans and South Africans who have gone to Russia who then do videos saying, guys, if you want to come here, or as long as you are between the ages of 18 and 60, that's some of the videos that we've seen, others 18 and 50, you have to, there's a certain network that we have not yet figured out, where either it's in Telegram and WhatsApp. You join these groups. Within 3 days, I'm told, you are given a ticket. It's a one-way ticket. You don't come back, and you go. So from what I've heard and the people that I've interacted with, there is also the influence, of course, of Zimbabweans who are in South Africa, because a lot of Zimbabwean guys who are in South Africa are working as either security guards, who are working as Uber drivers, have gone to Russia, and they've then told the Zimbabwean friends to say, guys, I'm this side, you can come. And I've talked to some family members who are actually saying they are now worried because they have not been able to talk to some of their relatives in the last 2 weeks or so. They might be, their phones were taken, or they were moved to where there's no network. But still, what is surprising is when I posted the issue on social media, I got a lot of inboxes, people saying, where is the recruitment? I want to go. So it's really a worrying trend. And despite the information that there's a lot that is happening, those who are there are complaining about conditions. People still want to go because of these incentives that are being offered.
Yeah. I was just reading a tweet that you put out, which in part helped us to get you on air here. And you say, I'm just going to read one line from it. For some, the historic ties between Russia and Zipra make the deception feel even more believable. So the design of these campaigns, do they make it sound as if this is a state-to-state relationship, basically the government of Zimbabwe working in collaboration with the Russian state? And what have authorities been saying in Zimbabwe? Are they at all worried about this? Because in South Africa, at least the presidency has since commented, basically saying that law enforcement must investigate this now.
To be honest, there is no official communication from the Russian government that someone can say we've seen Russian officials saying come or join us. But this is done through, the networks, and people are saying, Zimbabweans during the liberation struggle, the ZIPRA, which was the armed wing of ZAPU, and who of course who had also a connection with Umkhonto weSizwe and ANC, were mainly trained in the USSR, which included Russia and Ukraine. And I've seen in WhatsApp groups people saying, we owe Russians because they trained us, and some Russians died in our camps in Zambia, so let's go there and help them. It's our turn to help them. But there's nothing that the Russian government have said. But it's not yet clear, and I really don't have information to say who is behind the recruitment. But we've seen videos of people, in airplanes going to Russia. We've seen them there saying, "Matota sesifikile, sizinkabi ngapha, lani buyani," and all those kind of things. And from a Zimbabwean point of view, I've not heard or seen any official statement from the Zimbabwean government. Probably they are also still trying to gather information or figure what is happening. But the people are moving. The challenge with WhatsApp is once someone gets in the WhatsApp group, you never know what they do. It's not something that is done publicly. But I've also seen, adverts that are flighted on Telegram, and people then join these WhatsApp groups where the recruitment is happening.
Yeah. Just finally then, Zenzele, from our end as a media house, we have tried to get the Russian ambassador to South Africa, and this is the message that we have gotten from that office, and I'm going to read very quickly from it because it's not a long response, and this was in response to our producer, and it simply says, "Hope you are well. Thank you for reaching out. Regrettably, the ambassador is out of Pretoria." Have you made efforts from your end as a journalist to try and get Russian authorities in Zimbabwe who can respond and tell us who is actually behind this? Because the longer it goes, the perception then is created that the Russian government may actually not have a problem with this because, yes, we're told it's mercenary groups, and those people do exist, i.e. the Wagner group. Remember that group. So these Russian mercenary groups do exist, but do they work in tandem with the government? That's where the line gets a little blurred.
Right now, we have a site with an ongoing investigation, which I cannot talk much about because it's still ongoing, to actually figure who is behind the recruitment and how it's done. We also in contact with one or two family members of the people who are in Russia. And once we get this information, we gather this information, we're then going to officially approach the Russian government or Russian representatives with full information of what is going on. But what I can confirm, what I have videos of is that people are going to Russia. We have Zimbabweans who are in Russia, and some of them who are willing to go there. Who is recruiting them, and whether they are working on behalf of mercenary groups or on behalf of the Russian government, that information right now we don't have.
I know I'm letting you go. Very quickly, one last question I nearly missed. What about the promised payments? Are the family members who are left behind in Zimbabwe, are they saying anything about their people or their relatives who are in Russia having received monies and perhaps sent those monies home? Do we know anything in that regard?
On the Twitter that I posted, I saw someone who said the money from Russia has changed their lives. I've not seen anyone or heard anyone who says they've received money. But I also heard that those who then went to Russia hoping that they were going to get citizenship, when they got there, they were told that, first of all, you sign a 6-month contract. Once you are done with that 6-month contract and you're still alive, you sign a 2-year contract. After that, you sign another 2-year contract. That's when then after those two-year contracts, that's when you can apply for citizenship. But yet when people are being recruited this side, they are told that upon arrival, you are going to get Russian citizenship 18,000 euros on signing the contract, or 2,000 euros a month. So there seems to be a lot of misinformation that does not tally with what is happening on the ground. Of course, we have also heard from some of the people who've gone there that they are regretting because of the weather, because of the language and the conditions that are there, and because they are given a one-way ticket, they have no way of coming back.
My goodness. It's a very worrying situation indeed. Zenzele Ndebele, thank you very much for your time and really putting us in the picture as to what is happening in Zimbabwe and how the youth there is being enticed into this. Zenzele Ndebele is a Zimbabwean journalist with a news organization called Sight.